Let resolution be your solution.
Good morning, everybody. Now then, today's topic, I think it's quite an interesting one. Many years ago, I was in a hotel in Liverpool, England, 1989, and I met a gentleman called George Takai, and he was one of the stars of Star Trek from TV. What an incredibly nice man, and I took a photograph with him and had something of a chat, and he was a busy guy, so naturally had to get on his way. But it was a nice interaction, and as I said, a very pleasant, demeaned individual. He went into politics later on in his career, and I think he was the governor of a state, a very successful individual. Now, you may have met somebody famous, someone maybe that you'd admired, or somebody that you recognized from TV or sports or something like that, or even politics. Or I did say somebody you'd admired, so probably not politics. But anyway, you may have met somebody famous and somebody that you were glad to meet. Maybe you have a funny story or something you said to them or they said to you, maybe a good thing, a positive encounter, or maybe an encounter that you were a bit embarrassed about. Anyway, you know the number. Give us a call. I look forward to hearing from you. It's an interesting topic, I think, and I'm looking forward to hearing your individual stories on Resolution Radio 2020.
Hello, Mike. It's Christopher again. You're talking about meeting famous people.
That's exactly what we are talking about, Christopher. Nice to hear your voice again. How have you been?
Oh, I've been all right. Thank you very much for asking. Years and years ago, I went with my friend to Crucible Theatre in Sheffield to watch the snooker.
That's like a massive game of pool, I gather.
Oh, it's a lot more skillful than pool, I think. But anyway, my dad got me a book from the library, a John Spencer snooker book, years and years ago, and I liked it, and I learned to play. Anyway, I was at the Crucible looking at this shop that were in there that were selling snooker cues and things, and my friend said, "Hey, there's somebody famous coming." I stood up, turned around, and right in front of me, it was John Spencer, world snooker champion from the 70s. And I said to him stupidly, I goes, "You're John Spencer." First thing that came into my mind, I know it's daft.
Well, we all say silly things under a moment of pressure. Was he your kind of snooker hero?
Oh yeah, he certainly was. Anyway, quick as a flash, he replied, "Well, I hope so. I've been sleeping with his wife."
Well, that's a little bit risque, but quite funny. Did you have a little chat?
Oh yeah, and he signed my book. There was a picture of him in the book I had, and he signed it for me, and he was very nice. So that was my snooker hero, and I enjoyed meeting him, and he smiled, and he was dressed in a nice grey suit, and he was everything I could have imagined that he would be. So that was my positive story of meeting a celebrity, or at least a celebrity to me.
Well, very much thank you, Christopher, for your call.
Mike Stan taking your calls.
And our next caller on the subject of celebrity is Michael. Hi there, Michael. What would you like to say? You're through to Mike Stan on Resolution Radio 2020.
Hey, well, the best presenter I ever heard, was the chap. I was a radio presenter. He was called Terry Wogan. He worked for a BBC for a long number of years. Terrific presenter, a really great voice, and very creative.
Are you saying Terry Wogan was your favourite presenter on radio?
That's right, Terry Wogan, fantastic presenter, really terrific, a very creative mind, and very intelligent. Most radio presenters are very dumb, very low level. They're no interest whatsoever. They don't paint a picture with words so much as ramble on, And I thought Terry Wogan took it to a whole new level with his Send a Brick for Petrocelli campaign. Would you know anything about that?
No, it's a little bit before my radio presenting time. Send a Brick for Petrocelli?
That's right. He had a radio program where this chap Petrocelli was a defence lawyer, and he was building his own house, and it was always through the series that he was building his house. So Terry Wogan said, "Let's send a brick." It was his campaign. It's whimsical, bit of humour. You might want to try something similar yourself.
I don't think Petrocelli's actually on the radio, on the TV anymore. It's a long dead series from a bygone era.
Aye, that's right. Bygone skills like top-class radio presenting, that's right. You'd know something about that, wouldn't you?
Yes, I think I do know something about radio presenting. Anyway, Michael, thank you for your call. And our next caller is Fred on the subject of celebrity.
Oh, hello there, Mike. Yes, I'll tell you what I think a celebrity ought to be. Somebody with skills and abilities. You know, like somebody like Barbara Woodhouse, who could train dogs. You know, she was fabulous. Or somebody who perhaps, had a personality that were a bit more broad than just, singing or whatever.
You enjoyed Barbara Woodhouse's training dogs the Barbara Woodhouse way, did you?
I certainly did. I thought she was a very stand-up woman. Yes, a very capable lady and somebody to be admired.
I was doing a little bit of research on the YouTube myself, and there are other people with skills. There was a gentleman who was very good at being a so-called, I think the job was known as a steeplejack. He was demolishing chimneys and climbing up very tall buildings. I don't know whether you ever saw his programs on the television a few years ago.
Oh no, I wouldn't know who that might be. What was his name? Can you remember?
No, it slips my mind now. But anyway, that was quite a few number of years ago. You may not have seen it if you were working or something like that. But anyway, you enjoy people who've got personality.
Oh yes, and people. I'll tell you who I also admire: David Attenborough. David Attenborough, he's got a long name, but he's still a capable fella. He used to be controller of BBC Two, and just as they were bringing colour television in, he commissioned the television series Pot Black, because I do like a game of snooker, when I get time with me mates, I'd go down to the club and have a knock around, and he brought it Pot Black to television, and it's famous for the old quotation by Ted Lowe, those watching in black and white, the blue is just the one behind the yellow. Which obviously, if you're watching a black and white television back in the day, you wouldn't know which were which, would you?
Well, that's an interesting story. I have no idea. I'll still have to do some further YouTube research. And our next caller is Jerry, talking about celebrity.
You're right there, Mike. My cat's a local celebrity, It's just very well known in the area, very friendly. But one thing I have noticed, it's a bit of a terrible situation, is with all the fireworks going off.
What do you mean? For getting ready for bonfire night, or the 5th of November, as you call it, the bonfire celebrations?
Yes, it's trouble with it. It's very early, and for knocking off fireworks. Our cat was so scared, he ran up our Christmas tree.
I get the idea. You've sneaked in yet another one of your jokes.
Hi there again, Mike.
Hi there, William. How are you now then? Would you like to make a contribution to this conversation about fame and celebrity?
I sure would. Your last caller there's talking about being famous themselves. Well, it's an interesting concept, that's about fame. I remember going into the golf club recently, and I sat down at the dinner table with Donald Trump, Paul McCartney, Madonna, and that laddie from Pirates of the Caribbean, I forget his name. He was sat there too, and we were all having a conversation.
You were sitting around a table with some incredibly famous people there. Are you serious?
I really am serious. We were sitting around the table, all of us, and we were discussing the very virtues of fame, and chasing the famous dream, and what it means to be famous. And everybody said, around the table said, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I wouldn't bother. So I bought myself a dessert, and that was that.
You sat around the table with several famous people, and you decided that fame was not something that any of you would want to pursue?
Well, you see, it's like sort of an imaginary concept, isn't it? It's ephemeral. 1 minute you're famous, the next minute, even though you've been in several movies and made a terribly funny guest appearance on the Fast Show, nobody can remember your name. And you become more famous for having a tabloid split up from your missus than you do from the work that you've done. And that's the ephemeral nature of fame. So I says to the lot of them, I says, well, it's all right for you lot to say this. And anyway, since the whole conversation was imaginary, I decided that I'd still have the dessert.
I see you're kind of pulling my leg.
Aye, that's correct. You could call it that. The only one that was really there was Johnny Depp.
So he was sort of a Lone Ranger more than a Tonto? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
He was a very easygoing and humorous fella. I quite enjoyed his company, actually, and he had a lot of interesting stories to tell. But he seemed to have to get back to his wee dog.
Now I know you're pulling my leg. Anyway, an interesting story, but the ephemeral nature of fame. It's here today, gone tomorrow, a bit like this show. If you like this channel, like and subscribe our page. Share it with your friends. If you understand the underlying message here, which is about entertainment and fun,
Keep smiling!
then continue to stay with us. I look forward to interacting with you in the future.